Here joining us. We will start with questions on Zoom. So Jada, go ahead.
Thanks. How are you doing today, Laura?
Good, thank you.
Good. I wanted to ask a little bit of a somber one to start. As far as Alan Reed, I saw your post regarding him, and I know that a couple of times being out there at training sessions with him, and you had mentioned sometimes he's often the only one there. Can you talk a little bit about the relationship that you guys may have developed or your experience with him?
Yeah, honestly, hadn't met him a ton, but I think I was just really shocked and obviously saddened to hear about the news. And he'd been out a lot recently to training and to our home opener. And as you say, like sometimes he would just be there on his own, and it's raining hard and heavy, and he stays the whole training session and makes sure he gives the rain some exposure, which was always great. And I think I was just randomly looking on, I think Jane maybe put something up, and I was just really shocked because I think I'd seen him maybe within the week of leading into that. So yeah, obviously really saddened, and just sending all our thoughts and good wishes out to his family.
Thanks. And if I can transition a little bit to the game, what are how is the team so far as preparation, and what are you maybe expectations for tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean it's been since we've had the Washington game, just with travel and the fact that every week we've lost a day because we went Sunday game, Saturday game, Friday game. It's been a really short turnaround, so we haven't had a ton of training opportunities. But I think we're used to that in this league. It can be, the travel can be really difficult, so we're used to that. I think whenever we play against San Diego, we always know that they have threats and it's a challenge, and it's something that we are always prepared for. So yeah, looking forward to the game tomorrow.
Thanks, Jada. And then Jacob, go ahead.
Hi, Laura. Thanks for taking the time to chat with us. Yesterday at their pre-match press conference, Casey Stoney talked about how the midfield was going to be an important factor in terms of who gets the result, and she acknowledged the impact that G has already made to the team. So I was just wondering, do you agree that the midfield can be a factor in who gets the possible 3 points tomorrow?
Yeah, I think in every game, honestly, I think no matter our opponent, the way our midfield can dominate games or not tends to always be a big factor in how games, not necessarily results, but I think performance-based, it is really impactful. So I think for us, being prepared that we know that, we know that we know a lot of their, strengths. We know a lot of their personnel that play in there. So I think, we're just being prepared for what they might bring. Difficult when they've only played one league game, to know exactly what that might look like. But yeah, I totally agree that the midfield battle is always something that in every game, against anybody, it always tends to be a real indicator of momentum and how much you can dominate an opponent.
And then my second question is, it's only been 2 matches, obviously, but so far, how would you make of the impact that the newcomers on the team, like G, Lily William, has being back into the NWSL? How do you think they've come in and, in terms of assessing their performance as short as it's been so far?
Yeah, I think they've done fine. I think they've done great. I think that we're asking different things of each one of them. And I think each one of them's journey is really different. Obviously, G's got a ton of experience across the world. Has been in the league, so knows a little bit about the league. And Lily's, it's brand new to her. So I think we all know that at this time of the season, getting points on the board is arguably the most important thing. And performances and how we get those points are things that we need to, look at as the year continues. So I think for all three of them, it's for some, getting used to being back in the league, and then for the other two, getting used to what this crazy thing's about. And it's different. It's different than anything, and they openly say that, like, it's very different to anything they've played in before. So I think that's something that we know about this league. We know that it's challenging. So yeah, I think that's where they're all at.
Thanks,
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Jacob. And then Nico, go ahead.
Hi, Laura.
Hi.
Was just wondering. Sorry, having some connection issues. Can you hear me?
I sure can.
Okay, sweet. It's being a little weird on my end. So after the Chicago game, could you talk about how the team has been collecting themselves mentally with the following days after the game, reflecting, learning from the first loss of the season?
Yeah, honestly, we reviewed the game as we would always do, and I think that the overall emotional feeling was that we were disappointed. I think we felt that we did enough to come away with something out of the game. Disappointed with the goals that we conceded, because we don't tend to like to do that very often. And I think, we probably created more than they did throughout the game. So I think knowing that after the first game, that was one of our things, we created a lot, we didn't finish our chances. We then created a little bit of chances in the Chicago game, but not as many as the Washington game. I think understanding what we need to do to make sure that we can create those amount of chances in every game that we play. And yeah, just knowing that in those games on the road, it's tough. And how do you come away from something like that with a minimum of a point? Like, we can't come away from things like that with 0. So I think that was our reflection. And obviously very quickly got to turn our attentions to San Diego.
And second question, speaking of San Diego, it's of course a rematch of the semifinal from last year. And the team's been a real thorn in their side, beating them every single time last year. So how do you anticipate the pressure that San Diego will put on the defense, and how tight you expect them to be to break them down?
Yeah, I think honestly, every time we play them, they come out really fast and aggressive and try and get at us early. And I think it always tends to be a bit of a tactical chess match initially to find out what each other is doing and how we can expose each other. And I think for us, it's about making sure that we do the things that we know are our strengths and trying to minimalise theirs as much as possible. And obviously in recent years, we've done a good job of that. I think in some games, we maybe came away with points that maybe we didn't deserve. But like I said to you before, I think that's where, when you can do those things, it's a sign of a good team. And last week we didn't do that in Chicago, where maybe we didn't fully deserve 3 points, but if we'd have come away with it, I think no one remembers the performance, they remember the points that you got. So I think that's something we've got to make sure we take care of tomorrow.
Thanks, Nico.
Thank you.
We have time for just a couple more, so we'll go to Steven and then Jada. Go ahead, Steven.
Hi, Laura. I wanted to ask, San Diego's roster starting lineup's likely to look somewhat similar to last year's, but they have a big change with Savannah McCaskill coming in exchange for Taylor Flint. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about what you think how that's going to influence their attack in midfield.
Yeah, I think the biggest areas I've seen of change in them, I don't know if it's personnel based or tactical based, I don't know, but I think they try and possess the ball a bit more, and are slightly less direct than they've been previously. So maybe that's an impact of Sav, I don't know, but maybe. So yeah, I think that's maybe the change, but I think a lot of their tactical nuances and the structure that they try and gain have stayed the same.
Thanks,
Thank
Steven.
you. And just real quick, kind of how the team's fitness is doing going into this week, and any updates on players who were absent.
Yeah, we've got a couple. We've got Alana's with us, Veronica's with us in San Diego. It'll be touch and go on whether they can get into the roster or not. we've got a couple of players that are question marks outside of those two, but yeah, I'll let you wait and see who those are.
Thanks, Stephen. And then last one from Jada. Go ahead.
Thanks. Laura, I wanted to ask a little bit about Phoebe as far as her season last year. She mentioned timing as far as her getting into the starting lineup. How did timing help, or do you think that was the factor as far as her being able to break into that role?
Well, I think she got hurt so early, in pre-season, that when we knew the severity of the injury, maybe, we always were looking at a timeline to when the World Cup players went away, like making sure that we got as close as possible to that period. So I think that helped. I think being available the moment those World Cup players went away really helped her get games under her belt quickly, where we didn't have to sort of manage it too much because we had no choice, right? We were sort of in that period where there just wasn't a lot of options because of the amount of players that we were missing. So I think that definitely helped, but I just think the severity of the injury was way more than what we originally first thought when she did it. So just that timing around making sure we got it right so that she had a chance to be fit and available when those World Cup players left. I think it obviously helped Phoebes, but it definitely was a big help to the team at that time as well.
All right.
Was she projected?
Jada,
was she projected to?
Jada, we got to wrap up.
Did you have before she got injured or projected for her to be a starter, or did you look at her that way even before injury?
I mean, it was pre-season and it was early. I think she'd played a lot of minutes in that period, and we were looking at her potentially starting. I think at the time we were playing Lou at left back, so I think we were looking at what type of balance could we have between Phoebe and Lou and Lani and Sammy. And yeah, it gave Sammy an opportunity, which she took. So.
All right, thank you, everyone. We got to wrap up. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.